Breaking news, the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is out, and that raises all kinds of questions. First of all, he should have been fired. Anyone who talks about wiretapping the commander-in-chief, whether you like him or not, is a guy that's a snitch. You need to get him out. Number two, he's the guy that appointed Mueller. And I say it's time for that stuff to end too. $26 million later, an investigation that in my view, and I don't want to be the deep state conspiracy guy, but I will be, this thing was a setup from the start.
You know, many in this country have been pointing out for decades, almost 50 years or more, about the corruption within the United States government and the Department of Justice. Since it has been founded with the FBI, it was founded that J. Edgar Hoover was one of the most corrupt individuals to ever work in law enforcement at the very highest level of this nation. Now we see this number two man in charge, Mr. Rosenstein, whatever his name is. But really the name is Rosensnitch. This man talked about wiretapping himself, wearing a wire to record Donald Trump.
Yeah, had to go.
Now, if he was doing it to save this nation from a crazy man, that's one thing. Many of us would agree with that one. But when you're talking about participating in a covert action inside the White House against the commander-in-chief of this nation, what does that say to the American people? That the government of the United States of America is no longer controlled or owned by the people. Yeah. It is controlled and owned by forces that are willing to do whatever it takes to stay in power and manipulate the people and enjoy themselves in power, being corrupt all the way next to the president in the White House.
Yeah, but to me, this is part of the formula. And I don't like being a conspiracy theorist, but this is the formula of the left, right? To make every person who gets elected who's a Republican to be either crazy or a racist or a misogynist or a whateverist, and their play is to dirty everyone up. You have that that is feeding this narrative.
But that corruption did not start with Donald Trump. This has been going on inside the United States government for decades, and the people need to know the truth. That's why many of the files are still classified for 100 years that people should be able to look at because of the corruption within the government.
Yeah, I say release it all, but I tell you something that really sort of bothered me. Remember the Peter Strzok guy, the one that had the text messages with that Lisa Page, his girlfriend? He was one of the big FBI guys in charge of the Clinton thing, and everyone tried to defend those text messages. I found him, and look, both of us have been accused of being arrogant guys, okay? I know you haven't often, but I have. But his arrogance, his sort of self-righteousness at the hearing was the thing that really struck me. I really think we do have to take a serious look at these guys running the Justice Department who seem to think, like Comey, that they're better than everyone else.
This look should have started way back during the time of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King and what they were doing in civil rights groups. Now this is the case of the chickens coming home to roost because you didn't listen then when black people begged you to listen about the corruption in the Department of Justice and the FBI. Now Trump is suffering the very injustice that we've suffered for decades. Now everybody wants to listen.
Yeah, but it wasn't just Martin Luther King. I would argue.
Oh, it was way more than him, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't think this is a black thing. I think this is a pattern of conduct.
But I'm saying this has been going on for far too long, and the American people have been lied to.